Hi, Karen.
Yes. So we've got David straight up on the screen. You like this video, don't you?
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about it?
Well, he gets into explaining about status,
Oh,
and
yes, you
that's how
said
he's,
you're into
and
status, yeah. So what does that
and
mean?
it's like you're you're publicly it's how you stand on the land, you, uh, what you're classified as, either United States citizen or like a state national, and I think there's some others too. But most people are classified as citizen, United States citizen.
But you don't want to be one of them, do you?
No, no, because that comes from your birth certificate when you were born, birthed at the doctor's office when they had your mother sign you over to the state. Now you're a ward of the state,
So what does that
and they.
mean? You go into court and you go, "Hi, I'm status." That sounds
Never
like
heard
a
that one,
Greek god, doesn't it? Hi, status.
right?
So yeah, explain a bit more about that then, Alan.
Well, they've got you. They've got us classified as United States citizen. After the war, when they freed the slaves, they all classified them as United States citizens now, underneath the government. And before that, people that weren't slaves, they were classified above the government. But then when they put the slaves to United States citizens under the government, they made everybody else also under the government with this birth certificate citizenship.
Is that maritime law as well?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, carry on then.
And this guy, he says that he's a state national. And what that means is that you're not under the codes and statutes of the policy that
Oh, does
they're
that mean you've got to
enforcing.
announce it? So you go in and go, "I'm status" on purpose because you're actually then saying, "I'm not taking any
Well,
notice of your stuff."
well, what I gather, what he's been saying is that you have to prove three things, your status on that. There's three
Right.
things.
Well, that's one. So what's the second one then?
Huh?
So the first one is your status. You said three things.
Yeah.
So what's the other two then?
Um, you have to have a trust, a superior titles, know your rights over the land.
Oh, yeah, because you know what? If you remember, I played that policewoman. That's what she says. I am the trust to that person who, when we now realise we don't have to have driving licences. You only have to have one of those if you're selling something or your van's bringing goods. That's it. If you're just a driver, we don't need one. But she said in that,
Right.
I am the trustee.
Right. See, that all caps name is a vessel, and it's just I don't know how to really explain this out.
Well, that's quite good so far. Three things, but it's still a lot, isn't it? Do you know what it actually means, Alan? It just sounds like we've got to be not well. We call them solicitors, but we have to be the equivalent. So it's a bit like, right, before I go anywhere, I've got to learn to be one of those, and one of those before you can go out there.
And then and to be the executive of the trust, you have to notice of appearance, living soul, statute, and there's a couple words that's hard to pronounce. It's parne, parse or something.
Right. I have to say, you have to be so precise, don't you? And I didn't
Oh,
like that
you're
bit,
sick.
really, when you said that they just have to put the
It's your,
comma in the wrong
it's,
place, and that's it. You've got 30 years when you were probably a free man. And maybe this is how they do things. Maybe this is how they make sure people get big prison sentences or something. Maybe this is how they do it. Just put it in the wrong
and then
place. You'll get 25 more years, 30 more years.
and then under status, that's how you're standing over the land, water, and air. Those are the three things. And the juris right of law, which is in dictionary. Where did law come from?
Don't know. Tell
There's
us.
two types. There's two types of trust:
Right.
express and implied. And in express is with, and implied is unwith.
Right. So which one? So when you go to court, you can have two different ones.
When you claim to be a state national, you have superior titles. I am sui juris, and you have to take dominion over those three things right away.
Hmm.
You can't give them no power.
Wow, that's what I mean. It's like we need to go back to school to learn all these things.
Right.
Wow. So basically, by saying status, they go, "Oh no, we've got one of those."
Oh, and what you were saying about the verb, adverb, and adjective, and all that.
Commas and that stuff.
Yeah. Adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, position, modal, fact, past time, future time, conjunction, or courts. Because the courts, they don't use no law, fact, or truth in a court of law. They use these adverb, verb wording, which means no wordings that they're using. And they're not using the nouns. Because we're legal fictions, you know what I'm saying? They've stolen our birthright is what they've done.
Yeah. I just find it quite incredible that you've actually got to do that much just to not be on their level, but you've got to actually say, well, I'm not doing it your way. I'm someone completely different, and I'm status. Wow. Will they know when you say that then? Will the judge know?
What's that?
If you say status when you get to the court or something, does the judge know what you mean? Or do they not know what you mean?
Well, I've never just gone in there and said the word status to them. I'll have to try that maybe.
Put your hand out, status.
You see, they're going by presumption, assumptions, and hearsay.
Yeah, it says on the screen right now because I moved it along a little. Presume, assume. Yeah.
And you have to correct their errors. All public officials, servants, whatever, you have to correct them and educate them. It's our job. It's our responsibility to correct their errors that they're doing on us. like a chess game.
Well, I think it's really cruel to do that. It's like they don't have a clue what's going on. When they come in, they're going to say all the wrong things. That's what we want. And then we give them a 10-year sentence. And they won't even know. Like that. That's horrible, isn't it, really, Alan? Come on.
Yeah.
You know,
that's like,
they should be...
That's like, it's so much deception, you know? You're deceiving us like you wouldn't believe with language.
Yeah. Just code words, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're double speaking.
I mean, you know, we now know that it's all different, but as just a simple human, I haven't learnt the words the way they mean them. They mean,
See,
I can't say hello to anybody anymore because that is hell.
They're a corporate, and they've got their own land classified as dead entities in their corporation. That's why the judge has the gold fringe around the flag in courtroom, because America's been captured by the British Crown, and they're doing admiralty law of the sea in the courtroom.
Yeah, in the dock.
And that's all caps United States Corporation, not the small case of United States of America. That's not all capitalized. See, there's two. There's two. Every state, there's two of them. You got the uppercase and the lowercase.
What, in the wording, you mean? They mean different things, yeah.
Yeah, whatever state you want to say, you know, or there's two of them. There's two governments, you know. You got the all caps corporation, and then you got that's not all.
We haven't said properly, but I think we did. But David Straight is on this video here, and he's explaining more or less what Alan is explaining. It's quite... I just don't understand how we have woken up and realised what we're in. This is.
Yeah, it is. Indoctrinated boot camp.
I think I realised that, especially for America, because it's any different, but when you ever look at Google Maps and you zoom in, everything is a square there. Everything is a plot of land. That means it's money. Everything in America is a plot of land.
It's been commercialized.
Even if you're in a plot of land, your own, you're in someone else's plot of land.
Yep.
They're just squares everywhere. It's all to do with just money.
They've mapped the earth and they've claimed it.
When it wasn't theirs to do so, and nobody voted for this. But I suppose what it is you're just in it and you realise you don't want it. But, you know, I can't believe that anybody would want this. I just want them to go, Alan. I just want them to go.
We're slaves and we don't know it.
That's why I wondered whether, oh my God, there's millions of great grandchildren of the miners. Just put them in. That's the other amazing thing, is that, you know, it's almost like you can see that maybe we are in something much bigger, and there's loads of ponds like us with flags over the top like the United Kingdom, all being governed in that flag. You know, and I mean, that is, you know, the flag is a rectangle. It just shows you, doesn't it? We're in a box anyway.
The Vatican claims all souls and claims all land.
But they have no right to do that either.
They've conquered.
Yes, I, you know, in history it just looks like they were always there. 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter. Maybe they're medieval time, but that's got evil word in it. But that was the time they weren't there. And this is maybe when all the War of the Roses, and then everybody's fighting, and they came back again. They've never left. Charles is one, Biden's one, Putin's one. They're all one.
Yep. They all got a treaty.
Do you know that's the most incredible thing when you actually go and do look up a little bit of things? You find out that all these treaties have happened and you're absolutely oblivious to the whole lot. And treaty after treaty after treaty. I mean, even so that England was the one governing Palestine and all that in the Second World War. And people don't even know that.
Right.
It's like the mind must be so short for people to forget that England was. But maybe if you were a Barrow boy in London, you wouldn't be interested in what was happening in Palestine. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe having so many televisions in, well, we don't know if we ever had them before, but right now they've come back and everybody's got one. It brings the world right into your living room, whereas before maybe it just wasn't interesting. Maybe you didn't even think about France and other places. They were far away. I don't know.
Everyone was in the dark ages. They didn't have TV. They didn't have news, radio. They didn't know what was going on.
Well, I think that all the televisions of that, really, the Tartarians had it. They had the technology. But then it's gone, maybe the 1800s, and it's come back. Because I just don't believe we made it all. Whatever it was, I think it was here. The system was especially the radios and telephones. All that, I think that was here.
Yeah.
A long time. We seemed far more advanced before and then we weren't.
Yeah, this David guy says that we've been under this system for like 8,500 years.
Well, in our history, it's Queen Anne. She was before Henry VIII. No, she was after Henry VIII. She was before the Mad King that came over and played George Washington and got the Constitution.
Adam Wisehouse.
She got it. She's the one that did it. And they don't even want to mention her. They say because her personality wasn't as vibrant as Queen Victoria. But this woman sorted out all sorts of things. She sorted out the churches because they used to pay for these priests to go to the churches. And then Henry VIII took the money. She gave it back. So it's like they got a salary. And then she sorted out the Union Jack. Obviously, maritime law happened when she was in. And obviously the United Kingdom, the flag, the Jack, that whole thing started then. They said that's about 1600s. And they don't want to mention her in history because she wasn't as flamboyant as Victoria. And it's like, wow, this woman, and she managed to make two-tier government. She did massive. She was only like 47 when she died. So if it's true, she accomplished masses. So why isn't she mentioned? That is just ridiculous. But anyway, that's the 1600s, it says. But, history is 8,500. That's what? 8,500. 85,500.
And who knows if that's even the right aging, because the way they add years to history throughout time, who knows what year we're in.
Yeah, what year are we in, Alan?
Well, in the J letter to the alphabet, they added 1,000 with that J fish hook story.
But even so, right, and you take that 1,000 being here 1,000 years, started 1,000 years ago, and it's not to do with Jesus, it's when we started. That's when I think that would be about right, because cowboys and Indians aren't the 1800s, they must have been the 15 and 1600s.
Right.
It can't be the time they said, even if they existed. But they don't explain that Mexico had a lot of America. They don't explain any of that at all, even though you can find it. It's there, but it's not like one of the first things America says. I think America starts with the Constitution to the UK. That's when the 4th of July, that's when everybody sees in the 1700s that America started, but it didn't.
Well, normally, like can only go back so many generations, and then they really don't know where their family comes from.
Yeah, you can only go. And the other, I just can't believe this maritime law that they did that. You know, when you actually think that you go to court and it's a ship in dry dock, right?
Yep.
But we're on land.
Right.
We're on land, for goodness sake. Why would they bring that law onto the land?
Well, they made a treaty.
Ugh, treaty again.
In the early 1900s to come over to America and set up their piracy.
Yeah, that's what it means. That law is actually like, you can be a pirate. That's good. Isn't it? That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And if you can deceive the people to trick them to be on that ship and be their slave.
That's also a bit strange, Alan, because, you know, in England we had workhouses and a lot of the land belonged to the churches, so they say, and the people were farming and living on the church land and then having to go to church. And in America, you got orphans, asylums. I mean, we got asylums as well, but it's done a bit differently, and plantations, and even that, I'm just so shocked that, I'm not saying they weren't different levels, so you were a second class, but it's the same today, isn't it? What level are we? We're down the bottom. But you know, those people, they had their own land, houses, families. They just couldn't go to the balls and all the eagle stuff. They couldn't do that. But they didn't live lives like they said, maybe in shackles and everything. And then that horrible word, which, you know, beginning with N, we were all called that. Everybody was called that who was an immigrant. So how could they just... It's just disgusting. Even that has been changed.
Uh-huh.
But in a sense, we had the same sort of thing here, because the people here lived on the church land and it was done a different way. It was all still the same thing, but just called different things. But the maritime law, everything was working. Everybody was sailing around and whatever was going on. Like, you know, you could order your carpet from Persia or whatever it was. And then suddenly they brought this law in.
You know, the law comes from the Bible, 10 Commandments, and there's a lot more than 10. But that's the beginning of the whole problem on the planet, is when man went out of himself and created a god to worship, and they created these religions and governments. They all work together as one.
Yeah, so that is really strange, Alan, because, you know, when you wake up, the one thing you've got to sort out is yourself. And even, it doesn't mean being the most selfish person on earth. It just means that's the biggest thing you can do for mankind, just sort yourself out. But it's all about you. And yet when it gets to the church, you can't do anything without that Bible. And you have to do it with Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit. You have to do everything with other things. You can never do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree on that one. It's not that necessarily you can say, oh, the Bible's terrible and all that. But I'm just saying, people need that Bible to do it. But you only need yourself.
Right.
Without you, well, anyway, they just use the Bible. And it's just quite crazy, isn't it? Making you believe that you need a book to help you.
You know, if a person can decode the book, the Bible, then I'm good.
Yeah, no, there's 67 books missing. So how would you ever find out what it was all about? But, you know, we've done those hangouts before with Santos and Charlie Freak. And, you know, it was all about the cross is the back of your neck with your shoulders and your head. And the Bible's the journey round your body. And then the crucifixion's how you get from your shoulders to your brain. And so even that hasn't been told correctly, has it?
Right.
And then, you know, looking at history, it's by accident you find these things. He was talking about the King Arthurs, and that there was two, and in history we only really find one, and they were related but about 200 years apart. And then he said, But Christianity started in the UK. The first person to be, you know, what happened to Jesus? What was he put on when they killed him? What did they do to him? I've forgotten now. I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired. What did they do to Jesus? Put him on the cross. What do you call?
They scourged him first, whipped him.
No, but what do you call it when he's put on the cross?
Crucified.
Right, okay, that's the word. Cool, it took me ages to get that. They crucified the first person in the UK. Religion started in the UK, and it went out to Europe. And you're like, wow, that means Jerusalem's here. And you're like, but that's totally different to this book you carry around. So if you can't even get history correct,
no,
I can't believe. But that's why the UK runs everything, because it started here. Don't ask me why. And England was a bit bigger until we had a few tsunamis and that. So, you know, I've watched videos when people say the towns are out in the sea. I'm not saying they're 20 miles out, but we've lost land around the whole of England. It probably amounts to hundreds and hundreds of miles. But whoever made this up was damn clever, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, who said these people were backward or anything? To make all this up, to make maritime law and the United Jack, you know, Kingdom Jack, that runs everything. Just look at the flags. It tells you that you're all part of the Union Jack. And whichever way it is, lines, crosses, crisscrosses, it doesn't matter. You're part of that Union Jack.
Well, you know, all the people in America, they got the flag set up, you know, the red, white, and blue stripes. That's a war flag. They're not flying the peace flag, which is up and down.
Yeah, Alan, how does that work? Because I was thinking about that myself the other day, because obviously America is flying a war flag, and when you say
all the citizens that put their flags on, it's the war flag.
When United Kingdom, like the Union Jack, which a lot of people say, that is only called, so it's a Union flag, but that sounds strange, doesn't it? Union flag, when everything's got a monarchy on it. But it's only called a Union Jack when it's on the front of a warship. So that tells you that the Union Jack runs everything. But isn't that strange? Why are we at war? And then, say we weren't at war, how different would the law be in the courts?
Well, you see, because we're that citizen dead entity, we're at war with the bar, because the bar runs everything. They write all the contracts, and all the legal things goes through them. And World War II, we lost that war. That's when they captured America and set their flag on it.
Well, supposedly now we hear that Hitler won. After all, he was an emperor, and then he was the baddie and God.
They're all puppets.
But, you know, when you find out that he spent his whole time, what was he called? He was he was an emperor for a start, but he wasn't just a prime minister, was he? But
Hitler?
Yeah, he spent nearly his whole time on a train going backwards and forwards over Germany. I mean, to me, that's sitting duck. And then on it had a gun, and it had bedrooms, and it had whatever it did. It was quite a big train. But on this route across Germany, 2 or 3 engines had to come out and go on front, because the engine, being that it was coal, would only run for so long, and then they put another engine on, and that went for so long, and I think, wow. And then there are pictures of him sitting on the track, and you think, what? He's that big, and he has to sit on the track while they uncouple the engines. And then I think, well, no, he's just sitting there learning his lines. That's what he's doing. I mean, you could say for his speeches, but he's an actor. So he's just sitting there learning his lines. And you think, this big man just sat on the side of a track half the time, reading lines, just because that's what he had to do between... You just think, what a load of rubbish. You could have killed him on the train track.
Yeah. And what do
Why
you think
didn't
about,
we, if we were what we said we were, because they absolutely annihilated London. I think it's one of the reasons they did all that, to put a straight road in. London had lots of little hills, and then that's why I think why some of the buildings are below, really, because they just put the road flat, and then some of them are down there and some of them are up there or whatever, and that's what I think. How could that happen when we've got a military and we've got planes and everything? You know, how could that happen at the whole of London? It took, me and Mickey did the video a few months ago, 6 weeks to completely annihilate London. But then a new road system comes in, and does everybody remember? Well, we couldn't go anywhere because they were building the road. You know, but it's there. It's really crazy. I just don't know how all this happens exactly. But you know, you've got all that going on. What they could have just a couple of bombs and killed him off on the train track.
Yep. Another thing that interested me in that
Crazy.
video, David said something about Donald Trump. He said that by the end of this video or whatever, seminar, you'll be a Trump fan. And he said that all Donald Trump's, when he was saying the States of America, small case, not uppercase Operation United States.
So what does that mean then?
He gave back Republic. And then he said, it's up to us now.
Do you really believe that Trump is a goodie?
No.
Oh, good.
but gave his speeches and was whistleblowing everything. But yeah, it's all an act. He's supposed to savior. He's the chosen one, and he gave us back our republic through the executive orders. But now it's up to us.
But they don't tell you that, do they? It's not been explained like that. But this is how they make money and do things, because I noticed it here with the trains. They were private, then they nationalised them, and now they've privatised them again. And then they've bought, taken them from, say we were electric for local, and maybe they used the coal for the long journeys, but that just seems crazy. But we were electric, then we seemed to go to coal and everything and diesel, and now we're back electric. And they have to buy new tracks, new trains, and they're spending your money.
Yep.
And they're just changing things and changing things. It sounds the same thing.
Yep.
But why don't they tell you? Why didn't Trump say, I am your saviour, I'm giving you back your country, it is nationalised, and so that people would know.
Right. He doesn't give no full disclosure. It's like he's talking in code. And then he left. Then he took off because he was afraid they were going to fucking kill him. That's the way this David was putting it. I don't know if that's truth or not either,
Oh, he's part of the game.
Part of the game. Part of the act.
Yeah, you see, we don't believe the act anymore, but a lot of people...
The whole world is under this legal fiction.
Yeah, but some people...
It's an illusion. It's a stage. We're all doing a play.
But Alan, how does it work? Say a lot of people, they would get that we didn't go to the moon, but believe the rest. Once you realise that's a lie, if they're going to lie to you once, do you not think they're going to do it again? But I never thought it was going to be like this, ever. It sounds like we're living in prison, to be honest.
People can't think, and then they're afraid. They don't want to think, and they don't want to step up and say anything. They're afraid. They're cowards. They're slaves. They've been a slave too long.
So, you need status, you need a trust, and what was the other one? What was the other one, Alan?
Supreme titles. Know your rights over the land.
Oh, that's here and now stuff, is it? On top of the land, that bit.
Claim status. Do a trust. and superior titles. Know your rights over the land.
But if someone goes into court saying status and all that, obviously it might have to be written and sent in, but they're going to know he's not one of those. So does that mean the judge says, I can't try you because you need a different judge? Or what? What happens there then?
I'm not sure.
What happens if they don't take any notice of you? Do they have to take notice of you?
I don't know that either. I'm not sure. I really don't know what they're going to do.
Don't you find it quite incredible that we think we're so sophisticated and all that? The year is 2023 and actually know nothing.
Right.
It is just so like a film. It's like if you could have a camera and whiz through it. None of these people know. They just don't know. I mean, if you were watching it just... I think that's why some of us have this thing of trying to tell people, you know, because why would you want to live in that? I suppose maybe what it is we don't talk about dying enough. You know, we're not here for that long, and maybe everything's fantasy. It's all just a fantasy. We live in fantasy. A lot of it. And the fantasy courts.
And the clerk of court is actually the port authority. Because you're docked at a port.
If you use your trustee, like you said, the trustee can be like a solicitor and they can help you as well, can't they?
I'm not sure about that either.
In the video, the woman, she said, yes, that's my client. I am the trustee.
Well, you don't want to claim to be the trustee.
Well, she did. To be able to talk to the police officer, this was.
Mm-hmm.
That was just so great, because she basically said, if you hold him, you've got every right to hold him against his will. Yeah, hold him as long as you want. But if you do that, then what's going to happen is, we're going to do you for holding him, da-da-da-da-da, and she said, and statutory rape. And the police officer went, you could hear, he didn't say Jesus, but he was like, wow. And then in the end he said, I really don't know what to do. I'm going to have to go away and talk to someone else about this.
Yeah, because they don't really know themselves. They're just order followers. Thinking they're just doing their job.
I think for a while people thought that because of what the police officers would actually be working in your favour, but when they make their when they stand there and say I become a police, they're making that obviously in America it's to the state and in England it'll be whatever it is to the monarch. They're not making it to you, but they do have a bit in there which says about human rights. So that's the only bit you can get them at. But they're not there to look after us. They're there to look. They're the monarchs and stuff, the governments.
Like I said, when the Constitution says "we the people," it's not referring to any citizen. And so the police, their job is not to protect us in any way.
No.
Because they joined this foreign corporation, this foreign entity, this corporation, they're doing policy now. Everything they're doing is
You said it's all to do with codes. Codes.
Yeah. Statutes and codes.
I just noticed that guy's got an eagle on his belt. No. He doesn't realise what they are either.
No.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot to learn here, isn't there, Alan?
Uh-huh. See, I think this whole system is run and kept in order by all the order followers. that are just put in place to by the government, and so now you're the government official, you're working for them, and you got your orders, and you don't know what anybody else is doing in their orders. You just know what you're doing because that's what you've been trained to do.
But I think it's all a farce because, you know that bit about ask the judge who he's made his allegiance to, and 9 times out of 10 you find it's not to the court he's in, so he shouldn't be trying you.
Right.
And then when we looked it up before, it said, obviously, the dock is shipping dry docks, and the judge won't come from that country. And you're like, I think it's the first one. I just think that they're not a judge in the court you're in. Well, surely that's showing you it's a farce to start with.
Yeah,
if the judge,
so
basically, do you know what that means? It means if they've convicted people, surely everybody can get their sentences overturned or done again, because how can you have the wrong judge trying you and he passes you as guilty?
Right. Because everybody's giving their consent by ignorance. They force you to give your consent.
Yeah, and you don't even realise it. I'm the victim.
Yep.
And you don't even want to say that either, even if it's true. You don't want to be saying that. It's just incredible, isn't it? Everything you ever believed in your life is wrong.
Right, right.
It's disgusting. So
yeah, it's too bad that everybody in the community didn't have this knowledge.
Yeah, and it's just right now, and I knew what I knew. I'd want to be a common law solicitor if I had to make a choice. Because you can't help anybody really, can you, in their law? I wanted to be a local counsellor, but when I look at someone, the law's protecting them, and when they look at me, the law's protecting me. How can you ever help anybody or anything? So I wouldn't want to be in that system.
That's because no law or fact is tried in a court of law. They don't deal in law.
Yes, I remember that we did that in the last hangout.
They deal in legal. And legal's not lawful, and lawful's not legal.
Well, so we've done that bit. So you've got to go to court differently now, in status with trustees and understanding the law and everything.
Right.
So are we going to talk about anything else, Alan, or do you think that's enough? Because we said we'd because obviously Alan is understanding things and he likes to talk about a bit of it. Do you want to add anything else to this bit, or do you think that's enough?
Well, there's one other thing that he said in the video about when you go to court. He said, bring 24 people with you, and they'll be your grand jury. And you don't want to go through jury trial. You want a trial by jury. Because if you go through jury trial, no matter
what, with jury trial, but the other one he can't. Which way round again? Say that again.
Jury trial, if the jury comes up with a verdict, if the judge don't agree with it, the judge can overturn it. But not on a trial by jury. Only by jury trial.
Wow, I hadn't even noticed that there was a difference there either.
Right. And so he said to even bypass all those when you go to court, bring in 24 people that are state national, like you want to be, and you're not a citizen now, you're not that dead legal fiction, and now you got your grand jury right there. and they stand up and they tell the judge or whoever the minister, they tell them to be quiet, let them speak.
Wow.
Because when you're the living and you can establish that you're not that legal fiction, the court, they can't even talk to you. Because you're not that dead entity.
Yeah, because you're doing a different way of law and everything. So yeah, it's not. They're not gonna.
In contract, a man can make a contact with a man, but a corporation can make a contract with a corporation, but a corporation cannot make a contract with a living soul, a living man.
Hmm.
Because they can't use the codes and statutes on the living man. They can only use it on a dead entity, a citizen on their ship, a slave. That's your standing. What's your political standing? It's your choice. So when it comes down to it, when you're standing there nose to nose and you say, hey, I ain't budging. I'm not your legal fiction. I'm the living, and it's my choice. What are they going to do?
We have talked about these things before. You know, we had David Giammatteo. He talked a lot about this, and he even turned his life right through trusts and stuff like that. He's still going. He's got his own Facebook.
Making trusts, trademarking your name, your children's names. Make some T-shirts. Put your name trade on it and walk into court.
You need one when you need one across your chest. I am status.
And they can't cheat the judge or whatever. Can't do any affairing, mingling.
Court Alan, that'd be such a good one. Listen, we start a new craze. I am status. That's quite catchy, isn't it? Everybody might want a T-shirt.
Hey, that is the old saying. I am status quo.
And everybody gets a T-shirt saying I'm status.
Yeah.
That would tell them, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And then get a trademark on it, and everybody go in there all at once and shut them down. If everybody went to court and they had 25 people to back them up every time, they couldn't do nothing.
This is the most annoying thing is, you know, we're middle-aged people now, and we're only realising these things now.
People ain't standing up for each other when they're being attacked.
I just think our parents and grandparents, they were such different people to, you know, we're obviously a lot clever, you know, like a lot of people who are waking up, they're quite, you know, most people seem really quite intelligent.
Right. They didn't have that ability to get that knowledge back then. It was ever so suppressed. And they're controlling the public schools, the indoctrination of what's being taught. And then the church is doing the same thing.
It's annoying because it is there, but you've got to find it. And in your world, if you don't find it, you don't know until you find it.
Right. And then the church tells you, oh, there's not we can do. We just got to wait till Jesus comes back and fix it. Just wait. Jesus is going to come back and fix it. Oh, that's the biggest con that the religions have put on man.
We often have these things that we do cling on to one way or another. Like, you know, people like, oh, that's the way we were brought up. And we were brought up because they used to fight each other and all that. And it's just all a load of rubbish. It's all what they've told you.
Yep.
Most of
Everybody
it,
wants.
nearly
Everybody
everything
wants.
is what they've told you, and they've made us
Yeah,
hate each other and all these other things.
everybody wants to. Everybody wants a meaning to hold on to, you know, because they don't know.
Yeah, but it's hard though, isn't it? Because, you know, we grew up with churches and going to Sunday school and all that, and then obviously now you just think, oh, it's all rubbish.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's something to do with the Roman armies, to be honest, and legions. There's nothing to
Right.
do with us, and then they somehow turned it into us. But then obviously televisions have come along. No, don't try and mind control them that way. We'll get them through the television. We'll
Yeah.
get everybody directly.
Programming the mind.
You know, we need an alternative television station if you want to understand about common law, about status. If you want to see, we need another complete different channel so that we can watch that. I bet you do really well.
They own all that.
Yeah, you can't go there or to the press, anything.
No, they own it all. You can't go to the radio station; they won't air it. And if they do air it, they'll be shut down.
Yes, don't ever tell them the truth. You have to lie to them 24 hours a day.
Just think if a bunch of people took over the TV network.
Well, but it's in your constitution, Alan. If you're not happy.
Well, you got to understand also that the Constitution was created by them.
But it is strange that that's in there.
Yep. Have you ever heard of the word a federalist? A federalist?
Right.
That's what these our forefathers were. They were federalists.
Cool.
Freemasons.
Yeah, I just think it's disgusting and I want them to go. Personally. What the hell are we in? That's what I think. What is all this?
Right.
And the thing is, you think you've got choice, not choices. They either want you to pick A, B or C. They've made the choices.
And none of them are any good.
No. But, you know, we'll talk again about this whole thing with the different law, won't we?
Okay.
Because Alan's just going through it and learning stuff, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then we have a bit of a hangout about the things that really interest him. But yeah, it's quite. The things I
got to figure out now is the letters I need to write to the certain places, and acquiring the titles and recording them and documenting them. Because you have to secure your titles and all that, and your business affairs, and because there's 3 things that the judge is going to come at you to see if you're taking care of all 3 things. If you need help, she's going to help you.
Wow, Alan. Well, can we come back and talk a bit more about it?
Yeah, we can.
We've gone for nearly an hour now, so that's probably enough, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Because it is quite complicated. If I mean, David Jimmy, he probably did the whole thing in one hit, but it's so much information you almost can't listen. But you've pointed out some really good points there. I am status. That would be amazing if that suddenly millions of people started wearing T-shirts saying, I am status!
Right.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go, what's your status quo?
So what's your answer then?
I think I am.
There you go. From Alan's mouth, I am. Well, thank you so much for that, I am.
Thank you. You know, my name, my 2 initials are AM.
Ah, right, okay.
Alan M. So I am.
And you're not lying.
No,
Yeah.
I am the AM. I am the AM. Call me.
Yeah,
Call me in the Call me in the morning.
yeah.
At sunrise.
But it is almost like, it's just a bit weird to think that you wake up and then you realise everything is completely different to what you thought it was.
Right.
It's just like a film, Alan. It's like we're in a film.
A movie.
Yeah, and yeah.
It's all theater.
And like those computer games, because they want virtual reality. But we live in virtual reality. We are the
Yep.
Yeah, and they don't want you at peace with yourself.
No.
Like, this learning thing's really good, Alan, so thank you very much for explaining that to us.
Thank you.
And also, this guy, David Straight, as well, you can go and listen to him. Yeah?
Yep. Yep.
And this channel is Morris.
Also, David Wynn Miller also.
Yeah, we need more of these kind of videos out, don't we?
Yeah, he's a federal chief judge, but he's passed away. He's the master on syntax, proper structure, sentence.
So this guy talking here, is he a goodie or a baddie?
Yeah, I think he is.
He's one, a goodie.
Yeah, I'm thinking he is. Information he's putting out.
Next time, don't wear the eagle belt.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, see, he's also a Freemason.
Yeah. But I suppose, we wake up at a certain time. It never says when or where. And I think sometimes it's actually when you're older, because you've got more time, you think differently, and then you see things. And once you see it, you can't go back.
You have to ask yourself, okay, now, who are all the state nationals? And I'm thinking there are all the lawyers and the police and the politicians and the people that run the show. They're above the law.
Oh, right. They only make us live in it. They don't have to use it.
They're the lawless ones, just like the Bible speaks
about.
Yeah,
because they don't have to use it.
Right.
Crazy.
See, legalese is taking away of God's law. Because legal is not law, and the law comes from the Bible and the commandments. And that's in the Constitution.
Yeah.
So everything that they're doing violates the Constitution, and it should be null and voided.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If you go to court, the judge who says, right, well, I'm not really the judge for this court, but let's see if we can get the conviction. And in reality, he shouldn't be there, so he shouldn't be trying the court. It's all a farce.
Yeah.
And they don't deal with law. They're just dealing with numbers and codes.
Yep.
Wink, wink. We got this one. So it means that everybody can have their case re-looked at.
Right.
Come on, this is ridiculous.
If everybody in the community got the knowledge and stormed the court and wrote all the letters and overturned all this, it'd be a hell of a celebration.
Isn't that awful to think that they've made that law for us to go into? They don't abide by it and play another law or whatever law or this law you're talking about, and right. All it is they've made put the people in it, and they don't even know.
They've made us characters.
Yeah, Alan. Alan.
Yep.
Oh, you're there. Sorry. What was that again? Because it just went out a little bit.
Oh,
they've made us.
They've made us all dead entities.
Oh, right, yeah, they love that. They're vampires, aren't they?
Yeah, they're vampires.
Ah.
They're and the ones that are really controlling it are behind a curtain that we can't even find the curtain to see who's behind it.
No.
Who knows? These ones that could have been living for thousands of years because they've achieved immortality and they're still controlling. They've had a long time to achieve all this scam they're pulling on us. They gave us the language when they've already perfected it. They've changed the people's cultures, took away their culture, took away their language, gave them a new language. They don't even know the meaning of the terms and the words they're using.
That's what I'm
Now
saying. Don't say your full name. Don't say you're the victim. Like you think is normal words. Don't use them. It's ridiculous.
They'll twist them.
All I can think of is it's like a minefield. Boof,
Yeah.
boof, boof, boof. I suppose that's what happens when really they're all corporations and they don't tell the people.
No.
Well, should we come back and talk? Have you anything else to say, Alan, or should we come back and talk soon?
Yeah, we can come back soon.
Yeah, thank you for that, Alan.
Thank you, Karen.
Oh, thanks, darling. Thanks very much for explaining that, and hopefully, people will understand that because the people are finding out. It's the people, not them. It's the people doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you.